Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Today, we are having episode 63, and I am excited to announce that today we have a special episode, Voice of Nonprofits, and we have a great guest, and I'm excited to introduce our guest in a minute. Before we get started, today's number is 2,120. This is, on average, American households spend about $2,120 per month on housing cost. As I mentioned today, we'll talk about nonprofits, and we have a great guest from Options for Community Living from Long Island, and we have the CEO Yolanda Robano Gross with us. And let me invite Yolanda, and we can get the conversation started. Hello, Yolanda. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. It's great seeing you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you are having a great week so far.
So far, yes.
So far, so good. That's great. Well, I'm actually excited. It is because today we are studying the voice of nonprofits special editions in our episodes, and you are our first guest in this special episode in that sense. So happy to have you today in the
Thank,
American Business Podcast.
thank you.
Well, if that's okay, we can get started with our conversation. As a start, would you please briefly introduce yourself and also options for community living for our
Sure,
audience and for our listeners to learn about it?
sure, absolutely. So, as you said, Kevin, thank you. My name is Yolanda Urbano Gross. I'm the CEO here at Options for Community Living. Options has been serving Long Island for 43 years. We've been around since 1982. We were started by a wonderful woman named Diana Aarons. Diana retired about 11 years ago, and that's when I stepped in. Stepped in October of 2014 as the CEO. It's been quite a ride. We've really grown the organization in the last 11 years. But what we do is we serve individuals, adults, children, singles, families, any combination thereof. Basically, with three primary diagnoses, either those in recovery from mental health issues, individuals who are HIV positive, living with AIDS, and individuals who are homeless or at risk for homelessness. Those are our main populations. Long Island, I am born and raised South Shore, Nassau County, so I'm a Long Islander all my life. But Long Island is a tough place to live financially. And we find that a lot of people have a hard time getting their feet under them here. I have a daughter that just graduated college last year, and I know that her and a lot of her friends, it's a tough place to establish yourself as a young professional. So if you add in some challenges on top of it, Long Islanders really need the support that agencies like Options and a lot of our sister agencies are able to offer.
Well, over the years, how has options for community living evolved, and where do you see it heading in next 5 years?
So Diana really saw a need back in the early 80s with the deinstitutionalization and the push for that. She started in the mental health world. Um, some of the larger facilities were being closed. Individuals needed to be, and rightfully so, back out in the community. It's definitely a more appropriate setting for people to be members of their community, right? That's where they belong. And she saw that need and opened the first house. Um, it then took on a life of its own, as did a lot of our peers. More houses, then more houses of different levels. We have the whole spectrum on the mental health side by itself, the whole spectrum of levels. We have what's called the CR, so it's a community residence that's typically 10 to 12 people with 24/7 staffing. Not that someone lives there, but rotation of staff. And you're there to learn everything from, or relearn in some cases, activities of daily living, right? Budgeting, cooking, medication management, all those skills that you may have to rehone or maybe you've never had. It's transitional. The idea is to be there for 2 years or up to 2 years until you can move on to the next level, which we call apartment treatment. At that point, you're more independent, usually three people sharing private bedrooms, but sharing communal space. Staff is in there 4 or 5 days a week, increasing those skills till you get to what we call supportive housing. At that level, we have people in once a week. People are very independent, go to programs, some people work, some people are in school. That can be permanent housing. In the HIV side, it's definitely more of a landlord tenant. We have families. that live together where one person has the diagnosis, but children can live with their families. I think something special that we do and something we need more of in general in our world is housing programs traditionally years ago were set up for the person, and that's great, but people have families. And while the person needs the support, then what do you do with the spouse, the children, the aging parent, whatever the case may be? So our programs, allow for the person to stay as part of their family. Um, our Access to Care program will also work with people out in the community in their own homes. So something called care coordination. That sounds exactly like what it is. The theory being if we coordinate all the levels of your care, you'll do better, right?
Yes.
If you have housing, if you have benefits, if your children are okay, right, you'll have less hospitalizations, your medical care will be better, less emergency room visits. So there's those
True.
services. There's financial assistance programs with rent. There's a lot of benefits out there for people. Um, it's it's a tough world to navigate. So we have an intake and outreach department that specifically will help people. A lot of times, I'll get a random phone call, and I think people just hit zero and somehow end up to me. And the answer is, I need help. Here's my situation. And we have some people that are very specialized in this. And, there are people, and I'll put them through to Krista, I'll put them through to someone on that side, and they'll be able to go step by step with them and say, okay, in our world, in options, you can qualify for X, Y, and Z. The nice thing about the unit of all of us nonprofits on Long Island is that we really work together. So either they need more services, and some of which we can't provide, or they don't fall under any of our umbrellas, and we'll send them to our other agencies, our sister agencies. Dr. Larry Grubler over at TSI, I always quote Larry because Larry says, we're never competitors, we're always colleagues because there's more than enough business to go around. So we're very good at picking up the phone and saying, okay, this isn't my niche, but I know who you belong to. And to do that soft handoff, very, 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 very important. Because when someone's in distress and they have the bandwidth to make that phone call, it may be the last bit of bandwidth they have. So for the answer to be, no, we can't serve you, and hang up, even if it's polite, you don't know the reaction that that's going to invoke in that person. But to be able to say to someone, you know what, we have these services, but you need more, or we don't have those services, but here's the person that does, can literally be a life-saving act. So
That's a great collaboration. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I like to also talk about your career path a little bit. Well, how did your career path unfold? Were there any unexpected turns that you can tell us about a little bit?
Yes. So my career path is absolutely wrong. I'm not where I should be. Um, I not even close. I was a theater kid from elementary school through college. That was it. If I had more talent, I would be on Broadway. But not having that much talent, I had a wonderful, amazing superstar of an English and drama teacher in high school, Mr. Russilla, who's no longer with us. I went to Marist College for undergrad as an English major, and I was going to be the new Mr. Silla. I was going to teach honors English and run the drama club just like he did, and inspire lots of kids and hopefully get one good kid to get to Broadway. And walked into Marist and joined the drama club and found my friends and started my path. And then everybody in college needs to take a social science. And intro to social work happened on Monday nights. So I didn't have to take a Friday class. And it freed up my Fridays. So I took intro to social work on Monday nights. And I had a wonderful teacher, and she was an adjunct. And adjuncts are different style than full-time academics. They work in the real world. They bring a different flair than full-time teachers. Her name was Karen, and I remember it's Caryn. And I wish, because I talk about her all the time, I wish I could remember her last name. I hope if she's up in Poughkeepsie somewhere, someday she hears one of these interviews, because she changed my entire trajectory. She opened up a very different world to me. So much so that the next semester I took another class with her. And by the beginning of my sophomore year, while I was still an officer in the theater club and still doing all the plays, I had changed my major from English and education to social work. So honestly, it's summer. I should be off prepping for my new semester in high school somewhere and picking the spring musical, but somehow that's not where my life ended up.
Yeah, what a fascinating story.
Yeah.
When you look at your work in general, what are the exciting and challenging parts of your work on daily basis?
The exciting parts are seeing the growth both in the staff and in the clients. When I see a client who gets themselves, I'll give you an example. We have a young woman who lives in one of our houses. She's a licensed social worker who, with some, so same degree as me, but had some real tough mental health struggles for a while. We, she got herself, with our support and the support of her treatment team, to the point where she was ready to go back to work. She now still lives in supportive housing and still gets that support, but she works a full-time job carries a full-time caseload. She just does this spectacular job. And when you see someone, look, we all hit our highs and our lows, right? But when you see someone who has that ability and then is able to get through that low point and use the resources around them, and get themselves back to that place where they are so proud of themselves, and to be a little part of that is amazing. And then in the same breath, I have staff, and it's a tough world now. We have literally four generations of staff under our umbrella here. I
Wow.
have a 50-year gap in age in my staff, right? So I have baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Zs. Um, but they all learn from each other. Um, I see staff promote up and go from being a direct support professional to being a coordinator and a supervisor and a manager. And most recently, someone that started with us years ago has just been promoted to a director level. Um, to see the growth in the clients and the staff together, and to see some of them work together, it's amazing. I'm very proud to be a part of it.
This is really exciting. And yesterday we had actually streaming for the episode 62, and we had I'm actually contributing to a website called babyboomers.org, and their CEO came and we talk about baby boomers, the generation, how they are doing nowadays, their challenges and so on. And one of the things that actually he mentioned was adaptation. So adapting the change and evolution, because just when you look at especially baby boomers, they have seen a lot, right?
Oh yes,
Since 1946 and all
yeah.
to today, till today. So the adaptation to changes is critical in that sense. And what you just mentioned is that adaptation and um, uh, that harmony that you created in the organization between different generations of team members. That's really exciting.
I think it's unusual. I think we're probably at the first time in history where there's four generations that are employed,
Amazing.
um, and how people work together. I have some very tech savvy newer employees, but I have other people with other skills, and how they're very good at feeding off each other and seeing what the skill sets are, and that one isn't necessarily better or worse, but that they're very comfortable going back and forth to each other and saying, can you show me how to do that? Well, can you show me how to do that? And that lends a lot.
Yes, that's a great culture.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's talk about nonprofits in general, if that's okay. Based on your professional observation and experience, what is the state of nonprofits on Long Island and in the nation in general?
It's a tough world for us right now. Um, Funding has always been an issue. We ebb and flow at the hands of whoever is in office. Um, it's always been that way, and today is no different, and tomorrow will be no different, and 4 years from now will be no different. Um, we are very dependent on government funding uh, for the majority of our programs. What we don't get in government funding, we have to get in private grants, community donations. It's a very scary time for non-for-profits. I can only speak to Long Island, but I have friends all over. I sit on New York State board, so I can speak to New York, but I imagine other states feel the same. Because if we think about it, you know, I'll just talk to options, right? We have about 2,500 people that we support on a daily basis. Um, if I don't have the funds to support them, then who does? And where do they go? And if we don't help supplement and our clients' benefits and whoever works, their money pays a percentage of their housing or their benefits pay a percentage of their services. But the funding supplements the rest. Um, we all know the state of the housing on Long Island and how expensive it is. Um, where do those people go? Are they back out on the street? Do our homeless numbers increase? We work very closely with the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless. We actually, our main office is located here. That's where I am in Ronkonkoma. We are tenants at the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless's office in Amityville for our Bi-County programs, and we're over in the Helen Keller building in Hempstead for our Nassau programs. And so I'm physically with a lot of our peers all the time, and everyone has the same concerns. If these fundings stop, where do these people go? And if Options has 2,500 people and someone else has 2,500, people, we're talking about a lot of lives of our neighbors. I think what a lot of people don't realize is, okay, you could count for the people that reside with us. What people don't realize is the people out in the community getting services that you don't know. Just go by the mental health numbers, right? 1 in 4 people has a mental health diagnosis. So if you stood on your block and counted houses, you can get an idea about what we're talking about. Many of those who don't have jobs with private insurance, and there are more than you think. And I think if there's something I want the community to understand, just because you don't know doesn't mean it's not there. And just because someone doesn't appear to you to be the stereotype of what you think someone with a mental health issue looks like, or what you think someone who's homeless looks like, doesn't mean they're not. So in our world, these funding dollars and these programs are essential. So to lose them, does it hurt us? 100%. Does it lose jobs for my staff, for me, for everybody? 100%. Will we pull ourselves up and be employed somewhere else? Yeah. But what happens to those 2,500 people multiplied by all those programs? And just to that point, about a year ago, we had a individual check themselves out of the hospital. Like I said, we're in Ronkonkoma. I live in Nassau. They checked out of South Nassau Hospital over in Oceanside. So I said, I'll go find them. Don't send somebody to Nassau. We had heard they went over to the Word of Life Church. Word of Life are good people. They have a food donation line. I got on the line because I was waiting to get to the front to show the picture to ask the person if they had seen the person. I was dressed for work. I got to the front and they said to me, because they're very gracious there in terms of not asking personal information, they just want your first name so they can check how many people are in getting food so they can keep up with the food. And I said, they said, first name, I said, Yolanda. And they said, first time here. I said, no. I said, but I'm not here for food. Have you seen so and so? They're a client of mine. So the man pulled me to the side and we spoke. And he said, ma'am, I'm sorry. He said, we never make any assumptions. He said, do you realize how many people come? They're dressed like you, they look like you, they're hanging on to their jobs, but they actually still happen to be living in their car or couch surfing. So we don't make any assumptions when someone like you is standing on our food line because we never know who's needing food. So if anybody listening to this can hear that and be a little aware of that, it's important to know.
Yeah, yeah, that's very educational. Much appreciated for these insights. Well, so I'm gonna shift the conversation towards AI a little bit, if that's okay, and that's in general. I just like to learn about your take. What is your take about AI in general? That's a popular subject in our community and among our listeners. How it is impacting nonprofits and businesses in general, based on your observation, and also how it is starting to impact life in general at the moment. In general, of course, if you can share
Yeah,
your take, that'd be great.
sure. It's fairly new to our world in not-for-profits. Um, I'm I'm trying to embrace it as best as I can, but I'm a Gen Xer, so I will tell you I'm a little resistant. I I I raise a Gen Zer who is 23 who thinks it's the best thing in the universe. So there you go. Um, but we actually are looking at how to use it where it can increase our efficiencies and yet not take away from person-centered planning and person-centeredness in terms of writing goals, writing notes, in terms of interaction with the clients, how to use it where it will enhance what we're doing and not take away from, make sure everything is still HIPAA compliant, um, make sure everything is still, like I said, client facing and very, very person centered, where it doesn't become route or it doesn't look. We've said for years before there was AI, I would always say to the clients, to the staff, no cutting and pasting. I know people are on similar goals, but similar is not the same. So please don't do that. So I believe that there are definitely ways we could use that to increase our efficiencies 100%, and that's what we're looking at. I have an excellent QI and compliance team, and they are looking at that. They brought me a couple of samples of how to use that and how to implement that into different programs and where do we start with, to put that into place so it can be used properly and it can help the staff and yet not take away from what we need to do for the clients. But it's out there. It makes life easier. I'm all for making life easier. We have a larger need in the community. So our caseworkers, our care coordinators, they're doing a lot more. Their caseloads are bigger. So if the implementation of AI will help them serve more people in a more efficient manner, then I think that would be wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. These are great times for learning more about AI and trying to find ways to adopt it. So, um, and same for nonprofits as well in that sense. So it's
Yeah.
great to learn about how you're actually exploring options.
And it's
Um,
new. It's something new, right? And if
it
we
is.
don't keep educating ourselves in anything, whether it's AI or anything else, we're not going to move forward. We're going to be stagnant. We're not going to afford our clients or our staff new opportunities. So, if this is what's out there or whatever's next is what's out there, we owe it to those we serve and those we employ to make sure we do our best to investigate every possible option. And what I do say to the staff all the time is, if you see something that I don't see, come to me or come to your supervisor or come to Beth, who's my HR director. I will always give you an answer. It may not always be yes, right? But it'll always be, It'll always be looked at, that I can guarantee you. And it may be, yes, that's an awesome idea and I didn't know about it. We don't hear everything. Or no, but not just no, it's no, but here's why. It could be a funding reason. It could be, maybe you don't realize that it doesn't work or we've already tried it or whatever. Or a lot of times it's, you know what, that's a great idea, but can we tweak it and maybe we could do a piece of it. But you have to encourage people to voice their ideas. And then once they do it, you have to understand that you have to respond to them because otherwise people aren't going to want to voice their ideas.
Yes, absolutely, and it'll push the innovation in the organization. These
Yeah.
conversations. Yeah, that's really exciting. Can you tell us about your mentors and role models in your career journey?
Yeah, I've been really, really lucky. My first mentor was a gentleman who's no longer with us. I was right out of grad school, 1992. His name was Jerry Vidal. It was Montefiore Dialysis Center in the Bronx. Till the day he died, he swore that he only hired me because I wouldn't stop calling. So persistence does pay off for new people out there. I had no experience. The ink was barely dry on my MSW, and he taught me how to be a professional and really how to be a social worker. And I miss him desperately, and I wish he could see some of where I've gotten to. And I moved to Mercy, and I worked for Jo Marie Carlton, who is living her best life out in um, Arizona. Um, that was awesome. She was great. I went to PSCH where I had Alan Weinstock, who was probably the toughest mentor I ever had. He taught me really how to be a leader. Joanne Maviglia gave me my first shot at UCP, running 3 clinics, Article 28 clinics for the developmental disability population when I knew nothing about disability services. Um, yeah, Barbara Lear and Alyssa Thalen at the Beacon Group, and the Beacon Group's still over there in Roslyn. Let me be their QI director. And Peg Moran at FEGS was my last boss before I came here to Options. She's retired upstate now and doing great. And Peg at one point sat me down and said, "Do you want to be an administrator or do you want to be a social worker? Because there's a difference." Um, and she taught me that lesson. I I had such good people, and I'm so lucky to have them. And with the exception of Jerry, they're all still around, and they're all so gracious when I reach out and say, can I have your help, or can I bounce something off of you? Um, I'm blessed to have them all, really. So every time so I do everybody's last interview at Options still, no matter what the role is. And when I look across the desk at a young kid, and I know young kid isn't the right thing to say anymore, but I was a young kid, and they have, the brand new diploma and this much experience, but they have the drive, and you can see that in someone, right? They have the drive and they have the
Yes.
dedication, and I think I can teach just about anyone how to write a note, right? Or what a billable service is. Here's what I can't teach. I can't teach work ethic. I can't teach how to treat an individual with dignity and respect. I can't teach the concept of, in the residential programs, you have to be respectful of the fact that you're working in their home. They're not living in your office. So I either see that in somebody or I don't. And every time I do, and every time I get to hire that young person, I look up, I'm like, "See, Jerry, here's another point. For all those phone calls when I aggravated you and you gave me that shot, here it is." But mentorship is key to someone, especially someone in starting a career. So I hope someday when I'm long gone, someone will say something about me like I say about Jerry all the time. Um, but to give someone that opportunity, and I really do have an open door policy. People come in, ask things, bounce things off me, and it's important. People, you don't want to be, the man behind the curtain like Oz. You want to be out and about, and people to be able to know that you're a person and that they can come and ask questions and you know bounce things off of you. And sometimes even personal stuff. I have someone that said, I know you're a single mom, your daughter's 23, so you've gotten past this. Could you give me some advice on how you got past this? And I'm more than happy to do so if I can. So
Well, what is one lesson that you learned the hard way in your career that you can share with us?
I've learned, and I have to tell you, I am 57 and I'm not quite sure I've learned it yet, but I'm trying to learn. Um, you can't take it all personally. You do your best, you give your best. Um, you're going to do your best to get most people to believe that what you're doing is best for the agency and the clients. Some of the things that can be said sometimes are pretty hurtful. And the first time I saw something like that in writing, I didn't know what to do. And to your last question, I called Alan Weinstock and I said, but they said this and this about me. And he said, congratulations, kid, you're one of us now. Um, so I I've tried to learn that as long as I know that what I'm doing is what I really believe to be best for the clients and for the organization and for the staff, that it's okay, and that I'm not going to please 100 people 100% of the time, and it's okay. But sometimes it's tough to hear some of the things, and thank goodness it's few and far between. But the first time, and I'll tell anybody who's listening, who's a new supervisor or a new boss or even a new worker, the first time you hear something like that, it's gonna kick you in the gut. You got to just take a breath, go to someone you trust, say to them, I just heard this, and they're going to say, it's okay. And it really is, and it'll pass. And somehow, without fail, I have a client who calls me once a month to check on me. It's amazing. And it's like he has a sixth sense, because anytime I have a day like that, the phone rings and somehow it's him. So it'll balance itself out.
What are your biggest passions and interests outside of work?
The theater, still. I love the theater. If I could go to Broadway and watch a show every day, I'd be really happy. So I love that. I'm very lucky. I have a really, really great support team of family and friends. So I love to be with my family and friends. I love the beach. I was at the beach yesterday with my girlfriends. I love the beach. I'm lucky. I still have a group of my college friends, a group of my high school friends. I have a really involved network. I'm president of my local Kiwanis Club, so I'm involved with my community that way. Um, I like to sing karaoke. Maybe that connects to my theater background. Um, but that those are my biggest passions. I like to travel. My fiance and my daughter and I went on a couple of trips this summer. It could be local. We had never been. We'd always looked at Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We had talked about it, so we just went for a couple of days this summer. So we explored a new place. So those are the things I like to do when I'm not here.
Yeah, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the questions that we got it from our audience because we
Oh,
get constant feedback from our audience.
oh wow. Okay.
Yes, so this is pretty popular. So I love to ask you and get your feedback. So if you had a chance to go back history, personally or historically, in what uh, time would you like to go back in the
Okay.
history?
So that's awesome, because my favorite genre of book, television, everything is historical fiction. So
Okay.
that's awesome. Huge fan of like the Gilded Age. Everybody catch up with the new season if you haven't. Um, Professionally, I would love to be a suffragette. So that would be my era. I would, you know, women's right to vote. That's professionally. Personally, I debate. I would say I love the 40s, and I would love the whole Rosie the Riveter era. I also like the Gatsby era of the 20s, but only if I was part of the Gatsby era. I want to live on the Gold Coast of Long Island and be part of that. Um, I also, yeah, I have parents that have immersed me in the late 50s, early 60s. I was the only kid at 10 years old going to doo-wop concerts. And I saw that generation through their eyes. I think I'd like to live it for a week or so and see what it would be like to be in that early 60s happy days kind of era just for some fun, before the world got very serious in the late 60s. So I have a mix, but I I am such a historical fiction nut in everything I read and everything I watch that I feel like every era I would like to. But professionally, I think I could do my best good being a suffragette in that Gilded Age kind of era, kind of late 1800s to early 1900s.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you for sharing this with us. Well, we have actually a mix of audience. We have the next generation coming into the job market. We also have seasoned professionals, seniors. We have a great audience profile, and the majority is business minded. That's why they are listening to or watching the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. So, what will be your career advice for those who are thinking about getting into nonprofit industry?
So first of all, I would say come. So all of us in the not-for-profit world are looking for employees. I mean, I can definitely speak to that. Um, I would say I'll tell you what happened with my mother in 1987. My mother understood that I was going to be an English teacher. That made sense, right? It was going to be a teacher, be stable, benefits, good, nice, fine. When I said social worker, now my mom is a baby boomer. Social workers, took away children, were in charge of welfare. It was a different generation, right, for her. She said, "You're never going to be able to feed yourself. You're going to save the world." It's all true. Sometimes we try and save the world, but you can make a career out of it. There is a path. If you're in a good organization like mine or like many of my peers, there's a path for you. I would say get your foot in the door. If your desire is to work with people, to help people, you come in as an entry level position. There is a real strong trajectory for young people, and I would say the ability to move and grow in organizations like ours, I would even venture to say is faster than in some other industries, because there is definitely a path from counselor to assistant supervisor to coordinator to supervisor. There's a definite trajectory. Agencies like ours also have so many different departments that you can go up, you can go across. There's, different ways to go. So I would say to do that, I'd say it's essential in our world to do an internship. When you go to apply, it counts towards credits. When you walk in the door, and I get it, you're at school, you work summers at a camp or at a store, but the internship will count towards working credit. Um, you're home 4 to 6 weeks at the holidays from college. You know, come to an agency like ours and say you want to intern, you want to shadow. Um, we had an intern this summer who worked at one of our programs, I think 3 or 4 days a week. He's going back to school next week. He's now has 3 months of experience under his belt. He's going to come back over the break, work 4 or 5 weeks. He's going to come back next summer. By the time he graduates, he has a lot of experience under his belt. So internships are key in our world. Shadowing days are key. Any of us, as far as CEOs, COOs, we're happy to speak with you. We're happy to do interviews. I know a lot of school projects are interview a CEO, pick up a phone. We will talk to you. I promise. My peers will speak to you. We're more than happy to do that. We're more than happy to get the word out. So that's really important. This is a great world to be in. We do a lot of good, but it's also a business. You need to have a business model. I would say that too. Take a couple of business classes, and for God's sakes, take an accounting class. Someone should build accounting 101 into the social work programs, because no one ever told me I was going to be running a $30 million budget. So take that, but
Yes.
come and do the internship time, do the FaceTime. Um, Call, we'll be happy to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, so today is our 63rd episode. You are the second person who mentioned about accounting.
Yes,
So
important.
yes, before we had we had Dave Kerr from Kerr Consulting, Cherry Beckert, and he's a CPA by training, and also in the accounting software industry. So he's an expert. So we heard about accounting in that episode, and then in this episode. So I truly appreciate it for this insight. Well, before we end our episode, can you tell us about options for community living? Any events coming up, any activities that you like to share with our audience that they can
Sure.
be aware of?
So we have three big events coming up, and they're all kind of connected. So our biggest event is Friday, September 26th. It's our third. It's our big event. It's our third annual murder mystery event. It's called Death of a Gangster, and I just talked about the 20s. So it's a 1920s mafia murder gangster wedding event. So it's a dinner, obviously, but it's an interactive dinner. So we have a team. It's the third year we've done it. We always pick a different theme. We have a team of actors who come in. You will be picked to be a killer, a suspect, maybe the victim. We're not sure. You'll get clues throughout the night. There will be prizes: best actor, best actress, best table closest to the right answer, table farthest from the right answer. You should wear your best 20s flapper zoot suit. Bring out your fedoras. It's at Captain Bill's, which is in Bayshore, at the Bayview House at Captain Bill's. So it's a separate building, same property. So again, Friday, December 26th. Uh, Tickets, you can go to the website, which is www.optionscl.org, or you can call Vicky at 631-361-9020, extension 1287. We still have tickets. We still have sponsorships. Our friend Tommy DeMisa, our mutual friend,
Yes,
is
yes.
our one of our honorees for the night. He is our visionary volunteer honoree. Four Leaf is our corporate honoree. It's the third time we've done it. Our team that we work with, the acting troupe, they actually got picked up by Shark Tank this year, so they're an awesome troupe. So that's September 26th. But this Wednesday coming, we have a kickoff event that Tommy organized for the Death of a Gangster, um, which is going to be at the Vibrance 360 Spa, and I have to just look at the address: 25 Northern Boulevard in Greenville, from 5:30 to 8:30. There's going to be wine tasting. There is going to be networking. There's going to be mini spa sessions. There's going to be swag. So if you're a spa person, that's 5:30 to 8:30 at the Vibrance 360 Spa. For tickets to that, again, you can go through the website, or you could call Melissa, 631-361-9020 at extension 1119. And because, we're going to do something else, anybody that likes steak, go to the Texas Roadhouse on Wednesday, August 27th in Deer Park, from 3 to 10. Tell them, well, we'll get you this flyer, but if you tell them that you're with Options and you show them the flyer, and 10% of anybody's meals that night will get donated to us. So it's all great stuff. We'd like to see you at anything, but we'd really like to see you at the Murder Mystery Night. It's a lot of fun. Come, enjoy, dress up. You don't have to, but you should. It's fun.
Yes, 1920 style.
1920 style. Bring your fridge and your flapper dresses and your pinstripe suits than help solve a murder. Last year it was murder at the 80s rock concert, and until they were handcuffing me in the venue, I didn't know I was the killer. So yeah, it's a
Well,
lot of
that's really exciting. And
fun.
yeah, our, also yeah, mutual friend Tommy Demasi. So well, he thanks to him, I start to focus on nonprofits. I learn more about it in terms of industry. So
Yeah.
he's always, he always supports nonprofits as a nonprofit connector, which I
Yes.
also had him in one of the previous episodes as one of our guests, which we had, a lot to, talk about. But his activity and his support to nonprofit industry is
He's
amazing.
amazing.
It's
The
definitely
first the first year we
exemplary. Yes.
the first year we did the murder mystery was Murder at the Billionaires Club, so it was very Art Deco, and he won Best Actor. Doesn't surprise you, right? Knowing him, he won Best Actor. And when I asked him to be the honoree this year, he said to me, "Okay, but we have to have a discussion." So I thought it was something serious, and he said, "I would love to be the honoree. I'd be honored, but I still want to be able to be in contention for Best Actor, and will being the honoree rule me out for the possibility of being Best Actor?" So he's a little competitive, and he still wants the option to be Best Actor. So, if nothing else, the price is worth seeing Tommy vie for Best Actor again.
Absolutely, that's for sure. Yes, yes. Well, Yolanda, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. And in a couple of weeks ago, I also had the pleasure of meeting with some of the team
Yeah.
members at
Mhm.
Options for Community Living. So
Yeah.
that was also a pleasure for me. It's a great organization. So on behalf of the American Business Podcast and myself, I'd like to thank you, your team, for your services to community, and
Thank,
thank you for your time for being with us in your
thank
busy
you.
schedule.
Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it. I wish you a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you soon. Thank you. Bye now. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, to our audience and to our listeners, we had another great American Business Podcast episode. I hope you like it and you found it to be informative. Well, from this week forward, we're gonna have these special episodes to highlight nonprofits, and nonprofits are important. To Yolanda's point, they have great service that they are actually um, providing to community. Yes, there are also businesses that we can also learn from them in terms of their business practices, their challenges, how they address their market and the need. At the same time, the social responsibility and the importance of nonprofits are very important, and we love to highlight it in the American Business Podcast. Well, at the end of the day, the American Business Podcast, the voice of the American business, it includes all the businesses in the United States, small business, nonprofits, you name it. So we welcome it all. There is always something to learn from businesses, from leaders, just like Yolanda, that as we learned today. And we'll keep bringing you these educational, these informative episodes. Well, what else is happening in the American Business Podcast? If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just passed 120,000 YouTube subscribers. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we got the award from YouTube, the silver play button award, since we passed 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And more to come. We want to get the gold award from YouTube. We like to go for 1 million YouTube subscribers. That's what we are rooting for. And I truly appreciate your support in this journey. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe the YouTube channel. Let's also put it on the screen as well. That's our YouTube channel's QR code that you can see on the screen. If you scan it, it'll take you directly to our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe. So we truly appreciate your support. Also, would you like to be a guest speaker in our podcast episodes? Would you like to share your feedback? Would you like to be in touch with us? Please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We are very responsive to our emails, and we welcome your feedback, any ideas, any expectations from our podcast team, myself. Please let us know. At the end of the day, this is your podcast. That's how we design it. So your feedback, what do you think, your thoughts are very important for us. We love to hear from you. In addition, if you like to be sponsoring our podcast episodes, if you like to advertise, you can also send us an email americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to visit our website, americanpodcast.tv. We keep it updated for coming episodes, as well as you can learn more about our membership program that we just launched. You can learn more about it and be a member, please, and support us. I also have the QR code right here. It'll take you to our membership page. We have great perks, great benefits for our members, and we have different membership programs. In that sense, we truly appreciate your support. So please visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, and you'll learn more about our podcast, as well as you can learn about our membership program and how to support the American Business Podcast. I'll also put another QR code on the screen to be a member of the American Business Podcast. Well, in the American Business Podcast episodes, we talk about different subjects. We like to take it a little further. We just don't like to talk about it only. We also like to help you take action. That is why we are organizing the Connection America Business networking events. The next one, this is a monthly networking event that we organize for businesses to introduce themselves, their services, and their offerings to our audience. And the next one is coming next Friday, August 22nd, on Friday at 10 a.m. And that is Eastern time zone, and that is online, so you can connect from anywhere. We only have a couple of seats available. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the registration page. You can learn more about the Connection America Networking event, which will be live on the American Business Podcast right here. And we'll only have 10 attendees to talk about their businesses, services, what makes them different, as well as their offering. And these 10 business professionals, 10 companies will be in front of the American Business Podcast audience and listeners. So it's a very exciting networking event for businesses, as well as our audience, that they can learn more about American businesses and international businesses, what they do, what they offer, what makes them different. That's a great opportunity. We have more sponsors coming up, and we truly appreciate it. One of them we started to promote is Ms. Excel. If you love to learn Excel and Microsoft software systems in a fun and enjoyable way, you can consider Ms. Excel. I have the QR code on the screen. You can scan this QR code. It'll take you to the page that you can learn more about their courses. And once you pick the course, I also have a discount code, ABP 2025. It'll bring you a discount when you are checking out. Please visit Ms. Excel website and consider registering to one of their fun classes about Excel and Microsoft software systems. Well, that is all for today. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm looking forward to having you in the next American Business Podcast episode. Thank you very much and have a great day.